Greetings and welcome to Alpha Bravo Pinball. My name is Andre, and today on the program we're going to have some fun, folks. Well, at least I'm going to have fun. Hopefully you find this interesting too. Yes, I bought a 3D printer, and as a pinball machine owner, I've been printing pinball stuff. If you watch until the end, I'll tell you about the particular printer that I bought and why. But to start, we're going to get right into these different parts here. And the best part is all of these models are available online for free for you to print. Let's get started. All right, let's get started. I've got 7 different parts to show you today. And number 1, right off the bat, my most used part by far that I've printed is these glass corner protectors. I cannot recommend these enough. They are just amazing. I mean, I've been in the hobby for a decade and a half at this point. I've always kind of prided myself on never having broken a sheet of pinball glass. Well, that streak ended this year, folks. Obviously, before I had these glass corner protectors. Pinball glass is really tough. If you're not familiar, it should be tempered, which means it's really strong and can take a pinball hit to the center of the glass, but it is not strong on the corners, and this is where these guys come in. If you're like me and you have especially a hard surface where your pinball machines are, like a concrete floor in my case, you just slip these onto the corners of the glass. These are printed out of a flexible TPU material, so they're nice and grippy. They stay on the glass, and then as you slide the glass out, you just pop it on the floor, and these prevent the glass from touching the concrete. This can easily save you having to replace a sheet of broken glass. The only thing worse than having to replace the glass, cleaning up the broken one, let me tell you, they shatter into a million little pieces. It's almost a year later, I'm still finding little glass shards in my garage. So yes, highly, highly recommend these ones here. There's a few different models for these online, but this particular design, credit goes to 80s PinTech. Thank you so much for posting these online for us to print. Next, we have this little guy. What is the very next thing you often do after you remove the glass from your pinball machine? You remove the balls, of course. And I know this is gonna sound silly. I know how it sounds, but you put the balls on a work table, workbench. They will roll, they will hit the ground. It's happened to me so many times. Even putting them on the pinball machine next to the game I'm working on, there's a little channel here, where you can put the balls. They will roll off, they will fall on the ground. This is just the easiest thing in the world to print, and it is just so darn useful. It fits 6 balls perfectly, which is the most common number of balls in a game these days. And I just put it on that same, just in front of the lockdown bar. It works amazingly well. It seems silly, but believe me, once you've printed one, you'll wonder how you lived without it. And credit for this model goes to user Swinks online. Thank you so much for posting the model for us. Next, these guys. These are also for doing work on a pinball machine. These here are my own design as I was learning CAD software. However, I'll point you to some different options available online from a couple different users. They are called pin jacks, and they are designed to hold the playfield higher to work on machines. As you may know, when you're working on a pinball machine, you will pull the playfield out into service position. This service position gives you really good access to the front and to a certain extent the back of the machine. However, you'll notice that the back of the playfield is still kind of buried down below the side rails of the machine. And what these pin jacks do is allow you to elevate the back of the playfield to both kind of unbury it from the side rails of the machine, but also bring it to kind of a more ergonomic, right in your face position higher up on the cabinet. not. The way you install these is you just kind of put the machine fully out into service position, carefully lift on the back of the playfield, and then you insert these on the side rail under the back of the playfield. Once you're done, it kind of looks like this. And if you're careful, everything ends up in a surprisingly stable configuration. I've been, I was just seeing this photo kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies, but give it a little shove test. Make sure everything is secure. The playfield weighs a ton, of course, so the last thing you want is it crashing down anywhere near you, both to, that could hurt yourself or damage the machine. So be very careful when you do this. But I will say it is more stable than I would have guessed. You end up with super easy access to the back of the playfield. So yep, highly recommend printing yourself a set of these. Next, number 4, we have a game-specific part. All right, here I'm going to give you an example for one of the machines that I own, Rush. But let me tell you, if for whatever game you own, if you go online and just do a search on the 3D printed parts websites, there's several of them out there, and just do a search for your own machine, you will almost certainly find that someone has designed some parts, some upgrades, some cosmetic upgrades, whatever it is for the machine that you own. In my case, I'm going to talk about this, which is a diverter upgrade for Rush. So Rush, if you're not familiar with the machine, at the back of the playfield there is a diverter that for both the right ramp and the upper ramp, the ball can kind of enter this diverter area from both of those ramp entrances, and there are 2 exits. And so by this diverter either going down or not, the ball can be sent to the 2 different exits of the ramp. Now take a look at the factory diverter that came on the machine. That is the one that is on the right here. And then compare it to the one that is on the left, the 3D printed upgraded version. Do you notice a difference? Yes, sadly, the one that came with the machine just does not shoot very well. The ball goes smoothly across one side of the diverter, but across the other side, it seems as though they just kind of copy-pasted the same curve to the other side. And the result in the machine is the ball losing all momentum, and kind of like the ball flies up the ramp and it just kind of barely makes it across the diverter, slows way down. If you're a longtime viewer of the channel, you know that I'm a fan of Stern pinball machines. I think they're the top of the industry. They make the best games. That said, I'm going to call them out where appropriate. And this is one of those times where the design of the factory diverter is just simply not good enough. It seems as though they really took a shortcut here and they called it good enough, and out the door it goes. It's a little bit shameful that it made it out the door in this state, especially when the fix is so easy. If they just had simply optimized the curve of the diverter for the ball travel on both sides of the diverter, just as it's been done in this 3D printed replacement for it, it shoots 1,000,000 times better. So that's the good news, at least, is that this is a very, very easy print, an easy fix. You just download the model online, push the print button, and you've got a far better playing game. So this is just one example from my Rush machine, obviously, but there's tons of it. I've got Godzilla sitting behind me. Some people are upset that the balls go down the middle when they fall off the building. Well, there's a model for that too, and just tons and tons of other examples. That's one of the coolest things, is just being able to take advantage of these community-made efforts. Other people online printing these models. It's just awesome. And on that note, credit for this model goes to online user Boss007. Thank you so much for making this and posting the model online for us to use. Next, we have a part of my own design. Just what the heck is this thing? Well, what if I showed you this thing right here? Longtime viewers of the channel may recognize this device, which I designed many years ago, and it's designed for measuring the playfield inclination. It's basically just a series of different steps that are each at a different angle, and you put a little bubble level on top, and boom, you can just read the inclination very precisely, trivially, and easy. So what we have here is kind of the next evolution of that design, where instead of having to put a bubble level on top, well, I'm cheating a little bit, being a little sneaky here by showing it to you unfinished. The finished version looks like this. As you can see, the bubble levels are now integrated into the design itself, and it now has side-to-side levels as well. So you can kind of put this down on your playfield, and you've got a one-stop measurement of both the inclination and the side-to-side level. I have to say this project was really fun to make, and again, I was kind of practicing CAD software doing it, it turned out well enough. It works. It definitely works. I would say that the little bubble levels that you get, for cheap online that are inserted into this 3D printed part, they're not the most precise things in the world. I think the nicer bubble level that I use on the larger design, although it takes a little longer to read the measurement on it, because you have to move the bubble level from step to step, it definitely is more precise. So call this a learning opportunity. I don't know if you think this is cool. If you'd like one, I will post the model to my website, and you are free to download it and give it a try yourself, see what you think about it. All right, now we have these little guys. Two different variations, as you can see, but they are both for the same purpose. These are stern target stabilizers. So what does that mean? On some machines, what you will find is over the course of play, stand-up targets may start leaning one way or another. You can loosen things up under the playfield, straighten everything up, screw it back down real tight, but what you may find is as you play the machine, kind of the same problem crops up again and again. This is just due to how the stand-up targets are designed on these machines. Enter these little guys. You kind of bolt them on to your stand-up targets under the playfield, so they're out of sight, of course. That's the beauty of this design. You don't really see anything from the top side, but on the bottom side, clamping these onto the stand-up targets kind of prevents the blades from tilting side to side, making your stand-up targets nice and straight. Highly recommend printing a set of these if you have a machine with this problem, and these fit kind of the last of the dot matrix era Stern pinball machines. Very, very cool. And credit goes to online user Coops. Thank you so much for this design and for posting the model online for us. Last but not least, we have this. Now, what the heck is this thing? I'm going to have to go get some other parts to show you what this is for. All right, if I were to add these two additional parts, does that give you a good enough hint of what these are? These are flipper cooling fan brackets slash cooling ducts, if you will. What you do is this attaches here like so, and then this part goes on your flipper cooling fan. What the heck is going on here? Well, you see, flipper coils get hot, especially during very long games. They can get so hot that your flippers can get weak. We say that the flippers can fade over the course of play. This is the solution to that problem, especially for games with kind of very steep ramps. The ramps can just get harder and harder to make over the course of play as the coils heat up. Coils are basically wire, and the resistance of the wire increases with temperature, meaning you've got less juice flowing through the flipper, giving you that lack of a snappy feeling. These are 12-volt fans, and I'll show you the work involved in making these. It's actually on a scale of 1 to 10, I would call these 2 at best out of difficulty. Really, really easy to put together. All you need is the 3D printed bracket, some fans, and some wire. Pinball Life happens to sell this pre-made wiring harness that plugs into the inside of recent Stern pinball machines. And it's just fantastic. There's even a fuse, a 1 amp fuse built into the wiring harness, taking all the guesswork out of the electronics here. That's the one thing you don't want to do is kind of overload any of the Stern electronics that are not meant for high power draw. So having a fuse there kind of guarantees that. I was curious how much 3 of these fans, how much current they would pull. And so with my multimeter and my little bench power supply, I measured it. You're not even at 10% on startup setup of the power draw, the maximum power draw allowed on that node board inside the stern cabinet. So really not a problem. You just run a big long wire from the inside cabinet node board up to the Playfield, and this is kind of what it looks like in the end. If you'd rather not mess with all this, the wiring, etc., there are ready-made kits available online for you to purchase for flipper cooling fans. However, one of the really nice things about doing it yourself is that you can do it at a tiny fraction of the price of those ready-made kits, which is really nice. Credit goes to online user Sorakill for this model right here. Thank you so much for posting it for us to print. And there's plenty of other alternative designs if you don't like this particular one as well. All right, now let's talk about 3D printers themselves. In this machine, the Elegoo Centauri Carbon. Why did I get a 3D printer in 2025? I mean, 3D printers have been around for what, like at least a decade, or a long time now. The reality is I've just never really been impressed with the output, the prints that these machines make, until recently, that is. And the other thing is I've always heard that you spend as much time fiddling with a 3D printer as you do actually using it to make parts. Well, I'm happy to say that both of those things are no longer true. These machines now, even at a very economical price, they make great prints. Really impressed by the print quality of recent machines. And there's basically zero fiddling. This machine is the Elegoo Centauri Carbon. They got me when they decided to make a printer for $299 US, of course, that has the capabilities of this machine. It's really, really impressive. I got the machine, got it home, did the pre-order, had to wait a while for it, but I have to say it was well worth the wait. As soon as I unboxed it, I powered it on and I did the auto calibrate, and then boom, it just starts to print and prints with amazing results. It is shocking to me how few failed prints I've had. I think I've had one. I've had this machine for almost 6 months now, and I've had one failed print, and that was due to the part being kind of tall and narrow and not having proper bed adhesion. It kind of got knocked over. That's it. Like, it's shocking to me. Just print after print, it's really fun doing parts in the slicer. You hit the button to send to printer, and boom, you just watch as it comes alive. It really is, to me, a new era in 3D printers where you can really use them as an engineering tool to make stuff. We're no longer in the days where it has to be its own hobby. You can literally buy this as just a utility to make stuff, and that's it. And that's frankly, I have my hands full with other things. My main hobby, which is pinball, of course. I don't have time to do the tinkering part of 3D printers. So now that machines are cheap and good and just work, it was time for me to jump in, and I'm really glad I did. Well, that's going to do it for me today, folks. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Stay tuned for more pinball stuff here on Alpha Bravo Pinball. Good night, and until then, play some pinball, folks.